we're going to be sharing hacks and tips to optimize your training, diet, and lifestyle. I have Claire Young, a female transformation coach, with me here today, and we're going to share the best strategies that we have trialed over the last number of years that we found had the best impact on our results physically, mentally, and from a health perspective.
Can't wait.
Right, let's get into it then. Hi friends, welcome back to the Transform with MG podcast, or if you're new here, welcome. I'm your host, Martina Gutt.
Okay, so my name is Claire Young. I'm, as Martina said, a female transformation coach, and we just met here in Bali through the cafe, I think. Or I think you might have even just,
house.
Yeah, I think you followed me on Instagram, and then I saw that you were at the cafe, and then I
Yeah.
think we just introduced each other, and then
Yeah.
just started chatting. And then I saw that you did a podcast, so I was like, we should jump on together, because I feel like we just have really good chats anyway, so I thought it was good that we could just do this together.
Yeah, bounce ideas off each other and share what has worked for us. And I'm sure there's probably going to be a lot of overlap because we seem to be of the same mindset when it comes to a lot of things with like training, nutrition mindset. So
Yeah.
it'd be an interesting conversation.
Definitely.
All right.
Sweet.
So should we start with training, diet, or lifestyle?
I think training. Yeah, let's start with training.
Okay, let's get into it. Do you want to
Okay.
go first?
Yeah, sure. I've got some notes. So bounce one for one.
One for one. Yeah. Let's go with
perfect.
that.
Okay, so the first one is going to be scheduling your workouts for the week at the start of the week. So you're basically scheduling them as if they're an appointment that you're not going to miss. Why this is so important and it works is because you're treating your training really as a non-negotiable, You're setting it up as like an appointment that's like, say you had a beauty appointment or a hair appointment, you're not going to miss it. It's for you, it's self-care, You should really be making that a priority. And if you're setting it up, you're not going to miss it. Yeah.
How did you find that worked for you? Do you set it like at the start of the week or how do you go about it?
Yeah, so usually on either like a Monday or a Sunday afternoon, I'm just going to write down. And basically you're going to pick the time that is going to suit you best, that you're just going to make it a non-negotiable, You haven't got anything else on that at that time. You can just, set it up. The best way to implement this, like I said, is at the start of the week. Schedule it in your calendar, whether you've got a physical one, whether you've got like a diary, or if you're using like an app on your phone. Like I use Google Calendars and it syncs up to all my emails and stuff like that. So pop it in there. I've got like different colors and like different tabs. And you're just making it more of like a personal commitment. You're making a deal with yourself.
And I think like personal commitments are the most important ones because if we don't stick to the goals and commitments we set for ourselves, that decreases our self-belief to achieve things, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I love that one and
Yeah.
I follow it myself.
Yeah.
I think it's like a huge one.
Yeah. What about you? What's yours?
So my first one is to stick to one training program for 6 to 8 weeks at least. So a mistake that I've done in the early days of my fitness journey was jump from one workout to another, and I didn't even have a plan, to be honest. I didn't really see a value in it, I suppose, or maybe my ego and ignorance was like, I don't need it. I can do it myself. So I went online, on YouTube, on Instagram, looking through different like influencer workouts, and I would be like, okay, I'm gonna screenshot that, and then I'm gonna do it in the gym. And then I'd go in one week, do that workout, then jump in for another workout. And that went on for probably like 2 years, and I was so frustrated because I was going to the gym, and I was just getting nowhere with the way I wanted my physique to look. So the best thing that I have done was actually like invested in a program and then committed to stick to the program for minimum 6 weeks, but like ideally now when I do a program it usually lasts like 12 weeks because I feel like the more advanced you get, you don't really need that much variability, I suppose. At the start when you're just getting into training, you might like to change things up a little bit, but the best way to do it is have a training program with a set amount of workouts per week, depending on your schedule, and then you also want to stick just to the same exercises per workout and progress on them over a week. So this is how you get better. Like, you need to give your body time to adapt to those exercises, get better at them, get stronger. But yeah, my best hack when it comes to training, just get a program, whether you make it yourself, although I wouldn't advise that, to be honest. If you're a beginner, I wouldn't advise that. But just stick to one thing, just commit to it, because that's where you're going to get the adaptations when it comes to strength, muscle gain, fitness, health even.
Yeah, 100%. This is something that I used to do as well. Yeah. But even now, I still invest in like other trainers to do my training programs because, again, like you're paying for it. So that's also, again, like another incentive. You're like, I'm paying for this, like I'm doing it, you know?
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I tend to stick to things that I like when I'm programming for
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah. I'm like, I like this, and I'm just, that's my program.
Yeah, exactly. But it's sometimes good to just like do something different and new, and only by like getting another coach to program it from their perspective. You'd be like, right, it's on my program. I guess I'm gonna do it, and then you see the benefits from it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's a good one.
So that's my one.
Yeah.
Do you want to go then
Okay,
for
sure.
your point two?
What's mine? Oh, okay. Take your rest days, please. Why this works is because rest days are just so important for recovery. I feel like when you first start out, you're just like in this mindset where like more is just always going to lead to better results. Like, I have to go to the gym every day and I have to do all my steps and all my cardio, and you just end up exhausting yourself. And then you're leading to failure, and then you're more likely not to stick to something again. So take your rest days, whether it's 2 or 3 days a week. This is super important for recovery, for growth. You're then going to be able to go into the gym the next day and be able to perform even better and see growth. The best way that I implement this, again, this just comes down to planning and scheduling. So I'll just always schedule my rest days, like today's my rest day. So I had rest day today, so Thursday is always the day. And then I always have my Sundays as well. Yeah.
So you're training 5 times per week at the moment?
Yeah.
And is it all weight training? Or
Yeah,
do you
so
mix it
all
up?
weight training. I sometimes will add in like a run if I feel like it. But yeah, just predominantly weight training. I do 2 upper body days, 2 lower body days, and then a full body day.
Oh, I love that split.
Yeah,
That's nice.
it's a really good split. I just love the full body day as well.
Yeah.
I always do that on a Saturday, and it's like a little bit more fun, and yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and have you always done that? Have you always seen the importance of rest days, or was it something that you've implemented over time?
Definitely not. When I first started my fitness journey, I was just like a little cardio gym bunny. So I would just go to like multiple group fitness classes all the time. Some days I would double up. Like I'd go and do like a spin class in the morning, and they'd be like, oh, now I have to go do like, I don't know if you've heard of like Les Mills pump or something like that.
Yes,
And then I'd go and do weights in the afternoon, and I would do that like most days. Maybe one rest day. And you just end up getting injured. I used to have like inflamed cartilage in my knee from just doing too much. Yeah, it's silly. It's silly. And then like as soon as someone starts to program you rest days, you like freak out a little bit, but then you're like, oh, I feel so good.
Yeah.
My body's so good. You're performing like way better as well when you've got those sessions, and you just get better results as well.
For sure. I think there is that misconception that more is better, like you said, because it makes sense in a way when you just like have it on paper. Of course, the more I'm going to work out, surely the better result is going to be, but muscle needs time to like recover and grow stronger, and that happens when we take that break.
Yeah, even like your stress hormones, you know, your cortisol levels, like they're just going to be through the roof. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that like we don't often look at is the impact that it's going to have on our stress level, because exercise is a stressor. So it ramps up that cortisol. And if we don't balance it out with recovery days, then we're just like in a stress overdrive. And our goals when it comes to like fitness, you know, the gym aren't prioritized because the body's like, I'm in survival mode. That's
Constantly,
yeah.
But it's amazing when you get to that point where you like feel powerful. You're like, you know what, I can take a rest day, and like I'm okay with that. It's like really powerful when you feel like you can get to that moment.
Yeah,
So yeah,
100%.
it's good.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah.
Okay, what else have we? Track your workouts. Okay, so again, it's just a mistake I've done. Anything I'm sharing here, like I've done the wrong thing, and now
I think
I'm
we've
like,
both done all these things. Like we've been through it all.
yeah, for sure. And I think this is why we're just like in this position that we made those mistakes, realized they weren't helpful on our fitness journey, made a change, and then implemented these for like the last number of years, being like, okay, this is what's working. Yeah. But yeah, tracking your workouts, I can't stress this enough, like progressive overload, which is essentially a fancy science term of saying doing more over time. And if you're not tracking what you're doing in the gym, then how can you know that you're actually progressing? So there's a few ways you can do it. Personally, like I do it through my app and with my clients, where they have all their workouts in there. They can track their reps, their sets, their weight, but you don't even have to like be part of an app. Like you can do it on the notes app on your phone. If you write down your program and then just track the weights you're lifting, the reps you're lifting, and the sets, and then aim to get better at that week on week. So progressive overload can come in many forms, whether that's increasing the weight you're lifting, it's increasing the reps, it's increasing the sets, minimizing rest periods, or just getting better at the exercise in itself, like the technique and form. But you want to be doing something more over time, because our bodies are so great at adapting to exercise. So if you go in and you do 10 sets, 3 sets,
Oh my
like,
gosh.
where am I going? You know, I used to do German volume training.
Oh my God.
Before, which is you go 10 by 10
Yeah.
on like hip thrusts and squats. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
if you told me to do that now, I'd
That
be
would
like,
just be the
"No."
whole workout done, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and the thing is, it wasn't even that. I done 10 by 10 on like 2 exercises and then continued on with the rest.
Oh my God.
No, nightmare. Anyway, 3 sets of like 10 reps of squats with like a 10 kg dumbbell. If you've done that over 6 weeks and haven't progressed, your body would adapt so quick within a week or two. And you would really struggle then to see any like muscle growth or strength gain. So get out the Notes app on your phone, or there's also an app I used to use, which is for free as far as I'm aware, or like part of it's for free. It's called Rep Count, and you can input your training program into it and then track your reps, your sets, and your weight. And it will also tell you when you're hit like personal best, when you have progressed, how much you lifted overall in a week. So it can be really motivating.
I love that. I haven't heard of that.
Yeah.
Rep count.
Rep count,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Super handy, like
Yeah.
very user friendly. I used to use that for like a little while before, like just setting it up on like my app, but yeah, handy. But even like the Notes app on your phone, sometimes I find
Yeah.
handy, because one benefit of using just like Apple Notes, for example, is you can add notes in under each like exercise, or like make changes. For example, like here in Bali, like the gyms tend to be quite busy, or maybe it's just the time I go. And then I'm like, this machine is taken, and we'll have to substitute it for something else. So I can just make little notes, or even how I'm feeling, like the menstrual cycle comes into play here as well, where you're like, okay, well, I still wanted to get my workout in, but I needed to reduce intensity, and then writing that in underneath, being like, yeah, reduced it by like 30% because my strength and energy just weren't there.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's a big thing too. People don't take into account how they're actually feeling on that day. Like you're not going to be able to go in every day and be able to progressively overload.
yeah, that's an important point to mention as well, because you can get so caught up in the numbers and thinking that you always have to progress, and then you go in 1 week and suddenly you see that you're not able to progress, or you have to like digress, and then you're just like beating yourself up that you're just not performing as well. But like, it's okay, like we're humans, like in theory it all sounds all great, but we're not
No,
going
it's
to be.
just going to be like this, you know?
No,
Yeah.
especially that like if you just have other commitments and things going on in your personal life, that's going to impact how you're going to perform in the gym as well. Your sleep, your nutrition, there's some factors that are going to dictate like how your session is going to be.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's it on my
I
one.
think this leads into my next one.
Okay.
Energy levels. Eating before you train, especially weight training, and if you're like going into the gym and wanting to perform. So this is just going to ensure that your body has got enough energy, like I said, to perform. And also, I used to find if I was going into the gym and I was just going fasted and I'm trying to lift, I'm just like so hungry, and I'm just thinking about breakfast while I'm trying to train and lift. And sometimes you might even be cutting your session short, or like not progressing and lifting as much as you should be and performing. So depending on when you're training, if you've got enough time, a full meal 2 to 3 hours before, so something that has got protein in it, but then also carbs. So something that's like going to be quite easy to digest. So nothing too fibrous. If you're going into the gym, like again, early in the morning and you've only got like an hour to 30 minutes, just a small snack, something that's easy to digest, carbs, something like a banana, honey on like corn thins or something like that. I love dates. Dates are my favorite, especially before running. I'll have my little dates before I go, and it makes such a difference. It really does.
I think dates don't get enough spotlight as they should.
No.
They're such a great pre-workout
They
snack.
are
Those
because
like
they're
quick,
dry,
yeah,
they're small, easy to digest.
easy to
Yeah.
digest for sure.
Yeah.
What protocol do you take? Because you train in the mornings, right? Usually.
Yeah, so I'm like I usually am like between 7 and 8 o'clock. So I'm not like an early, but then I'm also not really a mid morning. So I will get up. I always have electrolytes. So whether that is like a electrolyte powder that I've already got, coconut water, or I do have salt sometimes in just like a big glass of water. So being hydrated is really important. And then, yeah, I have my dates. I have my 3 dates, or sometimes at the gym they have like little protein bowls. But again, they've got dried fruit in them, which is like super easy to digest. So I have them, and then pretty much just get straight into it.
Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
good point to mention that it doesn't have to be a full meal when somebody is training early in the morning, because a lot of people, like I have clients come to me saying, I just cannot digest like food before I go training, and but I think they think it has to be a like protein, carbs, fats, fiber, everything, a huge like full breakfast plate, where it's
No.
not like something like a banana, a few dates, corn cakes.
Yeah, you can even get electrolyte powders that have carbs added to them, which I know a lot of people will have before runs and stuff like that. So it's just going straight into your body. Like you're just absorbing the glucose straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or sometimes I will, if I'm having something and it's not really digesting well, I'll just warm up a little bit longer, walk on the treadmill, make sure everything's digesting properly, and then get into your session, and you'll just feel so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great one. Training
Yeah.
before lifting weights.
Yep. Very important.
Okay, what else we have? Less is more, which you mentioned, but from the point of view of focus on your compound movements and don't try and do 100 different exercises in one workout. So compound movements are movements that use multiple joints, such as your squats, rows, bench, deadlifts, and focusing on them and putting them at the start of the workout is going to give you the bigger bang for your buck. In terms of like you are using, say, for example, squats, your full lower body, as opposed to something like a leg extension, which isolates your quads. And the mistake that I see and I've done as well was go in to my workout and do as many exercises as I could, 10, 12, 15, and I would be in the gym for hours, and then I'd be like, honestly, that would just like suck up all my energy for the whole day. And also I found it really hard to stay consistent, because trying to find that amount of time in a day when you're really busy, it's really hard. And also, if you think about it, if you're doing 12 different exercises in a workout, by the time you get to exercise 12, you're just not going to be able to perform as well as exercise 1. So when you're structuring a workout, focusing on 5 to 6, between 4 to 6 exercises, and majority of them being compound lifts, you're just going to have much better energy to perform the whole workout with the same intensity and see much better results in terms of like muscle and strength adaptations, because sorry.
What is the highest amount of exercises you have in one session?
Right now, 6.
Yep. Yep.
Not any more than 6. And honestly, I am defeated. Like I'm in there for an hour now. Like my workouts don't even take any longer than an hour, but 6 is just plenty.
It is. Sometimes I even feel like I get to the last 6 exercise and I'm like, whew, could easily just do 4 or 5, execute them perfectly, warm up, mind to muscle connection, add the load every set, and like you should be feeling good by then. You should be feeling like you've given it everything you got. you know?
Because when you have less, and this is what I mean by less is more, when you have less, you can really just focus on each exercise and executing it with like the right form and the right technique, connecting with your muscle. So mind to muscle connection is when you're like thinking about the muscle being worked. So for example, when you're doing hip thrust, you're really focusing on like your glutes doing most of the movement, and that way you're actually helping with your technique, because sometimes when you're not focusing on it, your lower back can take over. So yeah, executing each exercise then with the correct form, better mind to muscle connection, better strength gains from that. Yeah, that's all you need. 5 to 6 exercises max.
Don't
and
overcomplicate it.
No, don't complicate
Don't
it.
overcomplicate it.
And I honestly, I'd say I could just list 10 exercises and just do a program with that and have somebody on it for like a year, and they'd probably see way better results than a person who has like a list of 50 exercises that then they cannot even pronounce the name of some of them. Because you see, and I think it's because some of them just sound sexy on social media, and this is why they just like blow up, and it's like this glute pump fire hydrant.
Get rid of those
Bridge.
hip dips.
Yeah, it's like, what on earth is that?
Yeah, I know. It's so funny. If you actually end up in that kind of like algorithm on your TikTok or your Instagram, it's like, what?
I know. Yeah, so less is more. Stick to compound exercises, 5 to 6 per workout, and you'll be sorted.
Yep. You should be dead by then.
All right, should we move on to diet?
Sure.
Yeah.
This is my favorite.
Oh, we love diet.
I just love diet.
So
Okay.
important, right?
This is going to sort of, it's coming down to digestion, really. So improving your digestion and being consistent with your fiber intake. So being consistent with your fiber intake is going to mean that you have regular bowel movements, and we all love that. It's also going to lead to better gut health as well. So for me, this is sort of been a big issue lately. Where it's kind of just moving to Bali and things like that. You're sort of like out of routine. You don't have like a set eating schedule. So everything's just going to be different every day, and you're not going to be able to track it, and even like water intake and everything like that. So you're going to end up with having like a few gut issues. So I definitely recommend being consistent with your fiber intake, because it's going to lead to consistent bowel movements. So a great way to implement this is most people, or females in particular, are going to be between 25 to 30 grams of fiber. So I would just track it for one day. And then you can sort of see what it looks like if you're tracking it, even if you're just writing it down or you're putting it into MyFitnessPal or something like that. And then from there, you're just going to know every day, okay, I'm going to be having like my 2 serves of fruit, and I'm going to be having veggies with every meal. I'm going to be having whole grains, and I'm also going to be having legumes.
How do you ensure you get enough fiber? Do you track yours every day? Or?
Yeah, so I kind of will track like just one day a week just to make sure everything's in there. So I always have like one of our cold pressed juices from Open House. That's got all the fiber in there, so that's really good. I track that. I always have heaps of berries. I always have like papaya. There's so much good fruit here in Bali, so it's just pretty easy. And then I'll always have my breakfast, my eggs, and I'll always have mushroom and spinach. And then I'm always having like chicken and rice for lunch, so then you're having some grains. And then usually for dinner, it'll be maybe like beef or chicken with some sweet potato or some pumpkin. So yeah.
So you just ensure that you're having like a couple of servings of fruit, veg, and then whole grains within a whole day, and that pretty much hits your fiber intake. Yeah, I love that one. I love how it's not like a very common one, or maybe like unspoken about as well.
I feel like no one talks about fiber.
No. Like why? And it's so important, and then people like really struggle with like digestion.
And no one talks about it. Like females in particular have really bad digestive issues. I actually watched a video about it and was digging deep into this little rabbit hole, and I didn't realize that females, their intestines are actually longer than males.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we've just got a little bit more going on down there, so it's just we get like a lot more bloated, and we tend to have way more digestive issues, but it's just something no one talks about.
And it's so simple. Like you don't have to go and find the most expensive supplements or anything like that. It's just fruit, veggies, which are usually like quite inexpensive in like most countries to try and get enough of them.
Yeah, definitely. Even if it's frozen, if it's fine,
Frozen,
you
yeah,
know.
so
Yeah,
fine.
lots of water, and you'll get that fiber.
Yeah, love that
Yeah.
one. What do we have? Have a regular eating schedule. I think this is so huge because making sure that you eat regularly will ensure that from digestive standpoint as well, you're keeping your digestion in a really healthy place so that you can have regular bowel movements, but also from like blood sugar perspective, that you're not allowing your blood sugar to dip too low. And then when you go long periods without eating and then you finally have a meal, then the blood sugar spikes up. And then when you have a spike, what happens when we spike? It falls down and then the energy crash starts again. But also from the point of view of actually being able to have better control over the meals, because if we allow ourselves to get too hungry, then our hunger and satiety signals get dysregulated, and then we sit down to have a meal, and what happens is we cannot stop eating, and then we're blaming ourselves that we just don't have the willpower and we're just obsessed with food. But it's just because we're getting so out of tune with like that hunger and satiety. So making sure you have regular meals and you structure your day in a way that you're eating every 3 to 4 hours. And as well, even from like hormonal standpoint, like not like you're going to get enough protein, like macronutrients in general, and micronutrients if you have regular meals. The way that I do it, and I do it with my clients as well, is the 3+2 method. Basically, having three balanced meals a day, and then 1 to 2 snacks. And that seems to work for like myself because I'm not
Yeah.
allowing
I'm
myself
the
to get
same.
200
Yeah.
three meals and like 1 to 2
Yeah.
snacks. Yeah, it's so good, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Like it
is.
just kind of making sure that you're not overeating at a meal because you know you're going to be eating in another 3 4 hours, but then also you don't just eat something and you're like, oh my god, I'm starving, like half an hour later, and then you need to snack.
Yeah.
So yeah, regular meals. And the way I would do it is, for most people, the schedule is going to be aligned with their work schedule. Doesn't have to be a 9 to 5, but let's take, for example, you do work a 9 to 5, and then you can begin with like a breakfast before you start your work day. Then you can have your lunch when your lunch break comes around. And then I do love a snack, like a high protein snack in between lunch and dinner, because I find that period to be quite sticky. Because if you're having lunch between 12 and 1, then you probably aren't having dinner till like 6 or 7, so it can be quite long.
That tends to be like the naughty snack time. I feel like
Yeah.
with all of my clients, it's like you're either like, because I've got a lot of clients that are mums, it's like they're either like picking at kids' snacks or, you know, they're waiting till dinner, but it's like just have that extra snack, like account for it, have that snack, and then you're not dying when you get to dinner.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people then try to avoid having that snack, and then it gets to dinner, they have their dinner, and then they just want like dessert. Or
Yeah.
you know, then in the evening they're just sitting around, maybe they're not as busy, so they're like looking in the cupboards, in the fridge, what can I snack on? But if they just had something like in between that lunch and dinner, that would mean like it would come to dinner time, they're not overly hungry, they'll just have their dinner and they'd be like satisfied with it. Because yeah, that time in the afternoon, it's where like naturally down to our circadian rhythm we have like this dip in energy. So if that dip in energy is so low, it will lead to us craving this like sugar and carbs to bump the energy up. And this is why it's also important on how you structure your lunch, because if you're just going to have simple carbs, like for example white pasta with sauce and nothing else, no protein, no healthy fats, no fiber, you're going to find yourself grabbing snacks, like those like unhealthy snacks, you know, treats at 3 p.m. So having a meal that is more balanced around lunch will prevent that as well. But yeah, regular meals will solve like 80% of your problems when it comes to just like snacking.
Especially being a female, don't be doing this intermittent fasting.
Yeah, intermittent fasting is just
We need
another
food,
one.
please.
Yeah, for sure. Like fasting until 12, 1 or 2 p.m.
No.
No. And also, like, why are you doing it? I feel like most people do intermittent fasting from like a weight loss perspective, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
And it really doesn't come down to at what time of the day you eat your meals, but rather the overall calories that you
Yeah.
consume.
Yeah.
So eat your breakfast. Where I do actually find some time restriction to be beneficial is in the evening time, just to allow your digestion to have a little bit of a break.
Before
So
you go to sleep.
before you go to
Yeah.
sleep,
Yeah. I'm
yeah.
the same. I hate eating dinner too late and then going to bed full stomach.
Because
No.
that's just sitting there, you feel
No.
uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and because it's digesting, you just want, you kind of fall asleep.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you
Okay.
want to go
Love
for
that
you?
one. I feel like I just love food too, so I just want to be eating every 3 hours or 4 hours.
Yeah,
It's like,
honestly.
yum. Okay, so this is going to come down to hitting your protein targets. So I know that a lot of people struggle with this. A lot of my clients do as well, and I used to struggle with this as well. But the thing that I do is I try and have my first meal of the day super high protein, just so you sort of feel like you're getting ahead. So this is going to, again, regulate your hunger hormones. It's going to keep you feeling nice and satiated. And it's also going to provide you with enough energy throughout your morning. Um, the things that I used to like to have for breakfast to help have like a really high protein breakfast are I usually will have either like a protein smoothie with my protein powder, and then I'll always have like Greek yogurt or like chia seeds or something in there just to really bump it up. But lately I have been loving, I have my 3 eggs at open house, and then I also will have some chicken as well with that. And that's about 60 grams of protein, which is half of my day, like already done. And then by the time I have my lunch and my dinner or even snacks, you're easily hitting your protein targets for the day.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. So just get most of your protein in as early on so that you're not like playing catch up then later in the
Because
day.
people tend to might just have like a piece of toast, or they might just have cereal for
Yeah.
breakfast. But then you're just getting yourself really behind for the rest of the day. So again, it just comes down to like being prepared, being organized, and just getting ahead. So you're not having to stress at the end of the day. Oh my God, I've only had 50 grams of protein for the day. And then you're like, what can I have? I'm going to have some protein powder, and then I'm going to have some yogurt. And you're just trying to fill up that protein at the end of the day. So
Yeah, I love that. And it's actually one of my points. Well, quite similar. So I'm just going to bounce off right now. But it's to center your meals around protein. And why I believe that's important and had like such a big impact for me is because protein is the most satiating out of like your 3 macronutrients, which are protein, carbs, and fats. So including a source of protein at every meal, it's actually adding to the satiety levels so that you don't have to or feel like you need to be eating an hour later because you're hungry. And protein also is made up of amino acids, and there's essential amino acids, and what that means is that our body cannot make them ourselves and we need them to like survive. So if our body cannot make it ourselves, it means we need to get it through food. And this is why it's so important to have at least a source of it at every single meal so that we're getting enough of those amino acids so that we're feeling good. And when I used to think about protein, I didn't think it was that important for me as a female because I always associated like protein with like being jacked and muscly and the big guys in the gym.
you're like, I don't want to get too big.
No, I don't want to get too big.
Yeah, I need protein powder.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm like, not going to be taking any protein
Getting a
powder.
bit bulky.
Yeah, exactly. But and even for females, like majority of them get 50 grams or less a day, which is like way too little. It's important for like building and maintaining muscle. And again, not just from like aesthetic perspective, but as we age, especially when we get past that 30, we lose, I think it's about like 3% of our muscle every single year. And I don't know about you or anyone listening, but when I'm 70, I want to be able to walk down the stairs by myself, bring in my groceries. I want to be like self-sufficient and not having to rely on anyone. So I'm making sure now that when I'm in my 20s, I am prioritizing having those muscles, and protein is supporting it. So centering each of those 3 meals, when I talked about the 3+2 method, at least 3 of those meals with like a palm sized or about 30 grams of protein if you're tracking is going to help you hit your protein target, support building muscle, maintaining muscle, recovery, skin, hair, nails.
Just everything.
So important.
Everything.
Yeah. Okay, so do you want to go then again? Because I felt that was just like my point on like centering meals around protein.
Well, let's go to number 3.
I love how we agree. It's just like
We've kind of got the same ones. Okay, number 3. See how we both have these lovely big drink bottles with us? But it's going to be hydration. So important. So drink bottle, emotional support drink bottle. What's yours? A liter?
A liter,
Yeah,
yes.
mine's a liter. They just come everywhere with us.
Oh, yeah. If you buy a pretty water bottle, I feel like you're more inclined to drink your water.
Definitely. Ours are both pretty,
Yeah.
aren't they? So hydrating first thing in the morning is going to help you. Oh, what have I written here? Okay, so hydrating first thing in the morning is going to help you rehydrate your body after you've been asleep at night, because you've been asleep for, how long do you sleep for? I sleep for like about 8.
Yeah, 7 to 8.
Yeah, 7 to 8. That's a long time to have no water. Imagine going all day without having any water. That's kind of like when you're asleep. So you need to rehydrate your body. What I do, a little trick, is I get my lovely Frank Green drink bottle. I'll fill it up before I go to sleep at night, and I'll just put it next to my bed. I'll wake up, and before I get out of bed and start the day, I am drinking that whole bottle of water, and you are already ahead for the day. I drink around 3 of these a day. Yeah.
That's a good rule of thumb. 2 to 3 liters is good. And I feel like even the mild dehydration, I don't know if you notice that sometimes, like, you do forget your pretty water bottle, or like you are like quite busy and you can feel it, like the headache, the brain fog. So
The brain fog.
Yeah.
And people just go throughout their day like that and they don't even realize. But it's like, if you just had a glass of water in the morning, you're going to be feeling a lot better. Especially if you're someone who lives in Bali. It's a lot hotter. You're going to be sweating a little bit more, and you really got to.
You know what? The water doesn't even hydrate me in Bali. Like, I have to have, alongside my 2 liters of water, some electrolytes or coconut water, because otherwise I feel the effects of it. I'm just like, I'm so low on energy. And then I'm like, what is wrong with me? The minute I have a bottle of electrolytes, I'm like, ready to get going again.
And even again, like, just keeping your skin hydrated too. Like, we're made up of 70% water, so we need to be having that water.
Yeah, that's a good one, having that filled up the night before and then just leaving it, because it's almost like habit stacking in a way, and you're leaving yourself cues. It's like, okay, when my alarm rings, I'm getting out of bed, then I make my bed, then when I make my bed, I drink a liter of water, and then just pairing things together, it's like, will help you to remember to do stuff.
Such a good tip. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Just keep it next to your bed.
Yeah, another one that I tell my clients who do struggle with drinking water is just like, think of when you're having a meal, you're also having like a glass of water, 250 mils. So like 3 or 4 of them, again, that's like a liter of water.
And again, it's going to help you with your digestion, and it's also going to help you feel fuller. Sometimes you are actually thirsty, but you feel hungry. And then you have some water and you're like, oh, I'm actually thirsty.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to be eating. I'm actually just need some
Yeah.
water.
That happened to me so many times. I'm like, I'm so peckish. Like, why? I feel like snacking. And I'm like, I'm just going to get some water. And I'm like, not hungry
I'm fine.
anymore.
I'll get on with my day.
Yeah. Okay, my third point on diet hacks is weekly meal planning. So I cannot stress enough how important it is to have an idea of how your nutrition is going to look like for the week, because you will have to make the decision of what you're going to eat regardless. So you're just like wasting your precious brain power that can go for making more important decisions on deciding what you're going to have each day. And then when you get to the point when you're like overly hungry, well, I know when I'm hungry, I'm like, give me anything inside. Like, I'm not going to be thinking of what aligns with my goals and how my body wants to feel long term when I'm starving. So actually having a plan, and a rough plan, like this is not following a strict meal plan or anything, but just an idea of how your meals are going to be looking like for the week is going to help you so much to stay adherent to a healthy diet. So what I like to do is on a Sunday, and I think now, like over time, things become more automatic. Like now, I'm just so like I eat pretty much similar stuff all the time. But I know in the early days of my journey, when I was just beginning to be more health conscious and wanted to improve my like dietary choices, what I used to do is like on a Sunday just map out like, okay, how is breakfast going to be looking for the next 7 days? And breakfast is usually pretty the same, right? Like I eat the same thing now
I eat the
every
same
single
thing
day.
every day. It's so boring.
Yeah, it's so boring, but it just works, digests well. But yeah, so breakfast pretty much the same. And then I'd have like 2 to 3 options for my lunch, 2 to 3 options for my dinner, and same with a snack. And then I can rotate between them. But it just gives me an idea of what I'm gonna have. It makes grocery shopping so much easier because then I'm looking like, okay, these meals, this is what it's looking like for the week, this is what I need to buy.
You end up saving money as well.
Money, yeah.
Instead of just going to the shops and being like, oh, this is nice, this is nice, this is nice. You know exactly what you're buying. You're saving money.
Saving money, saving time.
Food waste.
Exactly, yeah. So planning that in advance and just be adaptable and flexible. Like it doesn't have to be rigid. I'm not on about following a strict meal plan. It's just like an idea of what you're going to have. If your girlfriend asks you to go for lunch, but you had planned to eat your pasta bake, like it's fine. You can just go for lunch. It's just about eliminating making food decisions on everyday basis, especially when you're somebody with a busy schedule that just needs to grab something quick and convenient. If you know what you're going to have, and especially if you like prep for it, or maybe you have an option of like going to a deli and making like a wrap with whatever they have, it's just going to be so much easier. You're just going to find consistency to be better, adherence to be better.
Yeah, I love that one too. Do you feel like you still plan your meals out living in Bali?
To an extent, like my
Yeah.
breakfast is pretty much the same, but I still am very cautious. Like at the start of the week, being like, okay, what's my breakfast? Okay, eggs, fruit. I need to buy like say like butter or milk or whatnot, so that I go to the shop. I like buy enough so I have for the whole week, so that when I wake up, I can actually have a breakfast. There's nothing worse when I don't stock up on my groceries and then I wake up and I'm like, okay, now I have to go and think of like where am I gonna go and eat, and you know, that kind of thing. But in terms of lunch and dinner, it's pretty much the same thing. What the way I like to do it here, because I eat out for lunch and dinner, is think of the balanced plate. I want a protein, I want my slow carbs, healthy fats. So then when I go out and eat, I look at the menu and I'm like, okay, scan what has like some protein in it, my veggies, my slow carbs, and healthy fats. A lot of places here in Bali, you can just build your own meal. So it's like, it feels almost like I'm just cooking a meal
Yeah.
back at home, but it's prepared for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, like not as rigid as I would back at home, but still have an idea of like, okay, what my meals are going to be roughly looking like for like lunches and dinners, and breakfast is pretty much the same, and my snack is like the same as well. I have like a Greek yogurt bowl with some chia seeds and berries.
Yeah,
most
perfect.
days. What
I
about
think-
you? How do you go about
I
it
think it all
here?
comes down to education as well. So it just is going to give you a little bit more power to be a bit more flexible.
Yeah.
But then also in your head, you just know.
Yeah.
We don't cook at all, or sometimes I'll just make a smoothie at home, or I have my dates for pre-workout. So pre-workout's always pretty much sorted. Like there's always something at home before the gym. But then we'll just eat at the cafe. So
It's handy.
I'll have eggs, chicken, veggies, and then yeah, same for dinners. Like it's some form of protein, a really balanced plate. So yeah, some form of lean protein, some veggies, and then some carbs, whether it's either pumpkin, potato, or it's like a form of rice.
Yeah, and like you said, it comes down to like education as well. Like we've been in the fitness industry for like over a decade now, and over time you just know what your body like digests the best, and what like looking at a food you're like, okay, this has like 50 grams of protein, like because through like years of tracking and like learning about different foods and experimenting. So like that at the start you just might have to be a little bit more rigid because you've never done it before, but over time it's just going to become so automatic that you be at the start of the week you will just like go into the grocery shop and your brain would register what exactly you need
know.
to buy,
Yeah.
what you're prepping. Even when you're eating out, you're like, okay, I know this is going to give me that 25 to 30 grams of fiber, that 40 grams of protein. It's going to keep me full for like 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, I love that one. That's a good one.
Okay, right. Last like category?
Lifestyle.
Lifestyle.
This is kind of the same as meal planning and planning your workouts.
Yeah.
So just making a to-do list about just your whole day at the start of the day. So it's going to help you prioritize your tasks. It's going to make you a little bit more productive as well throughout the day. You're going to have a clear map for the day. You're going to know exactly what you're doing. You're not going to feel so stressed, so overwhelmed, and you're also going to be able to manage your time a little bit better than you normally would. So this is something that I do every day. Start of the day, I wake up, I have my bone broth, and then I'll just get my diary out and I'll just make a list. Otherwise, I just go into the day feeling overwhelmed and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Or you start a task and then you're like, oh no, I should be doing this. Make your list, prioritize, and then you're going to be feeling way better going into your day and feeling a little bit less stressed.
I love that, but also I'm gonna touch on you saying you have your bone
broth.
Why can't I say this? Bone broth. There we go. This was so difficult. Anyway, yeah. So you have that every morning.
I do. So I think collagen, bone broth, hair, skin, nails. Also, I used to be in a really bad habit of just waking up in the morning and I'd just roll out of bed and I'd be going straight to the coffee machine to have a coffee. And that's just not the best thing to be doing for your hormones and your cortisol. And then you're going to be stressed, even more stressed going into the day. You're also going to have that little slump in the afternoon. So I have my bone broth. Just it's nice to have a warm beverage. So I really enjoy that. I also feel as though living in Bali, gut health is so, so important. So it's just really great to start the day like that.
Have you noticed any positive effects of that? Like, how long have you been doing that for?
So me and Ben, we used to make our own bone broth when we lived in Perth. Yeah, we used to get the big slow cooker out. We'd make our own bone broth and it was so good. So we've been doing it on and off for a couple of years. And I just love it. It's like, I've really noticed, again, my hair, skin and nails just grow so fast and are healthy. And then even just the way that I'm feeling throughout the day. I'm not going into the day feeling like I'm so scattered, and just not being able to focus on one task. Yeah, so I usually will have my coffee a little bit later in the day now. And I feel
love
way better.
I might steal that off you because I used to be like you in terms of like rolling out of bed and straight to the coffee machine and then just like drinking my coffee, which I no longer do. Like I wait like 2 hours or so or at least an hour before I have it. But I do miss that like warm drink in the morning. So, yeah.
Do you have anything in the morning?
No, like I have my breakfast
Yeah.
pretty much like the minute my eyelid opens. I'm like, oh, she's hungry.
Like,
so yeah, so I sit and have like my breakfast and enjoy that with like, writing, like looking over my to-do list as well and then like gratitude and stuff. But then I'd go for a walk and then I'd get my coffee. It's kind of like a reward. I'm like, I'm going out for a walk, getting some fresh air, sunlight exposure, and then rewarding myself with that coffee. So.
You honestly enjoy it so much more when you do just wait as well.
Yeah.
And like you said, it is a reward. You kind of do like a few chores, or I'll go to the gym and then I'll have it after the gym. And it's just, you can sit down, relax, enjoy it, have some food with it as well, and you feel so much better.
Yeah.
Even like a herbal tea is really good as well.
Herbal tea.
When you just really want that thing in the morning in a nice cup that's nice and warm and comforting, but you don't want that hit of caffeine.
Of caffeine,
Yeah.
just allowing your body to just naturally wake up. We have that spike in cortisol anyway in the morning that gets us out of bed. So instead of like throwing that completely into an overdrive, just slow morning routine.
Love a slow morning.
So what about your to-do list? You do that every single morning, or like do you also like plan your week at the start of the week? How'd you go about that?
There's a lot of planning. So when I plan my week at the start of the week, it's quite general. I'm not doing like a to-do list for every single day. It's kind of like you're going to train at this time, you're going to do this at that time. and it's not as in depth. So when I'm planning out my day in depth at the start of the day, it's more so if you've had things that have popped up as well in the morning or the day before. So it might be like doing your client check-ins, but going into detail, like which client, or like replying to emails, or if you've got coffee with someone, like what time you're going, and if you've got to go get some groceries or something like that. Yeah.
And are you a pen and paper gal, or do you have any apps that
I
you use?
literally have things everywhere. So
We
I
love
have
productivity hacks.
I have like my Google Calendar, which is on my phone. So I have that. That is more so what I do at the start of the week. But then I'm like a pen and paper girl. Like I want to get my book out. I want to open it. And there's something about just writing with a pen on paper. It just goes into your brain, and it's just like making a deal with yourself a little bit more than just typing it in your phone. And even I know a lot of people, like you've mentioned this to me before, but it's like phones away in the morning. So if you're just writing in your book, in your journal, there's just something about it. You're not looking at your phone. You've got no distractions. You can just write in there what you're doing for the day.
And I think there's such a satisfaction with crossing things off, like actually physically being like, done, next task. Yeah, I love that. I'm such a planner as well. Like my Google Calendar is like all color coded. I'm like, when I show people my Google Calendar, they're just like anxiety.
But you're like, how productive am I?
Yeah, no, but I do love that. And then like my point on lifestyle is actually what we mentioned, a slow morning routine, which is something I've implemented not that long ago, because I was ignorant to the fact that starting your day like mindfully can actually have like a very positive impact on like how you're gonna feel throughout the day. So maybe I would say like 12 to 18 months ago, I've implemented like a slow morning routine. So prior to that, what I used to do was get up usually at like 5 in the morning, roll out of bed, espresso, wouldn't eat anything, like straight into the gym. I do like a 2 hour workout and then go into like, I started that when I was in uni actually. So either go to uni and do my lectures, or like I continued that on when I was working in corporate, where I just like train in the morning before eating. And yeah, no time for myself, no time to check in for myself. Like just grab my phone, check notifications, rolling out the door. And it was chaotic. And then no wonder that I felt stressed all the time. So a change that I made was actually taking time to myself. And I purposefully wake up earlier than I even need to get like started with my work day, so that I can have time for myself. So the way my mornings look, and they're so precious, like if anyone
Yes,
wants
tell
to
me. Tell me.
if anyone wants to do anything with me in the morning, I'm like maybe like 9 a.m. Like after I do my whole morning rituals.
They're like, are you sleeping? No.
No, not sleeping, but
time
just
for me.
unavailable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically I have my alarm set for 6, but I'm in such a routine that I wake up like before that, and it's so weird. I wake up at like 5:57 or 5:56.
Wow.
At the
So
same,
intuitive.
yeah, I'm like, what the hell? Like, it's kind
Yeah.
of freaky. But yeah, I get up, my phone is charging on the other side of the room. It's like on flight mode. I make my bed. That's like a win already. If you can make your bed first thing in the morning, like you're already winning the day, because it's like you do something like productive. Get myself ready. So like skincare, like if I'm putting on some makeup, I'll put on some makeup, get myself like put together. And that actually, like during COVID, I kind of noticed I needed to make that change, because I was working from home. So I was like, I can technically work in like my sweats or pajamas. And I'm like, no, I felt so unproductive and so lazy that even when I was at home all day, I made sure I like look as if I was going into the office.
It's crazy what that does to you, like the psychology behind that, like getting up and just like putting yourself together.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So that's what I do. I just spend, and it doesn't take long. It's like I don't need to like have a full on blow dry and full face of makeup or anything. 5 to 10 minutes just to look pulled together, and like I just feel more confident. I feel more productive. So that's what I do, and then I go and make my breakfast, and like that I could just like meal prep breakfast and have it ready and go. But I actually like the ritual of like preparing my breakfast, making my scrambled eggs, cutting up my fruit, and I'm being so present in what I'm doing. So I think when we think of mindfulness, we think of like meditation and sitting there with your legs crossed and just like humming. But like that's meditation to me, just like being there with like my thoughts and so peaceful, quiet. And then I have like my journal, write my gratitude, look over my to-do list, then also do a little bit of reading. And that's kind of like the start of my morning routine. And then I'd usually go for like a walk. And it sounds extensive, but like I've built that over time. And also, it's not that long. Like overall, it takes me like 30 minutes. And it's just 30 minutes out of my day, go for my walk, get my coffee, come back, and then I can begin my work day at like 8 a.m.
Yeah, and like what is that doing for you as well? It's making you so much more productive as well with the other half of your day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because people, or like I'm saying people, but like I know that was me too. It's just like I don't have time. No, like you do. You just have to make some time because like it's actually going to pay off on how like productive you're gonna be and how even just checking in with yourself before you check in with the rest of the world is just like how am I feeling? How do I want to
I
show
think
up?
that's a massive point is starting the day as well, like with something for yourself, not just going into the day and everything is like just giving to everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's slow morning
I love
routine.
that one.
Yeah.
What a beautiful routine. Okay. This is kind of like making your bed,
Oh.
but it is like keeping your space nice and clean. So again, in the morning, making sure your workspace and your home space is nice and clean because if you have a clean space, you're also going to have a clear mind. So you're going to be more productive again and be able to get all your tasks done. So basically I will always make my bed in the morning, always make sure the room's clean. We've got a little hand vacuum in the morning, so you know when you just brush your hair and you've got hair on the floor, you're like, nah, clean that up before you leave, before you go to the gym, before you go to work or anything like that. And then even again, like when you come home at the end of the day, you're not coming home to clutter because that is just stressful. And then you don't want to be cleaning at the end of the day as well.
Trying to make any decisions like that are aligned with who like the person you want to become when your whole space is just like upside down, like that does not work.
I think if you ever have like a friend and they're like a chaotic person, if you ever seen their space would just be chaotic as well. So yeah, clear mind, clear space. Even if you're trying to work, it's going to be really hard to work if you've just got stuff everywhere. You want to be able to have your space nice and clean, everything nice and set out and organized, and you're just going to be a lot more productive.
Yeah, absolutely love that. And yeah, clear space, clear mind.
Yeah. Even if, like physically, the way you
Yeah.
present yourself, I feel
Yes,
too.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next one, I kind of mentioned that, but it goes back to leaving your phone on charge on the other side of the room, or like ideally in another bedroom. I don't do that because I use my phone as an alarm, so like I still want to have it in my bedroom. But the biggest hack that just like had a transformative effect on like how I feel is not bringing my phone to bed with me. So it really improved my sleep, and sleep is so important. Like I would put that above like diet, training. And what I used to do is like bring my phone to bed with me and would usually be just like on TikTok or Instagram, like just scrolling for ages or replying to messages. And what that was doing to me was just like keeping me in this like alertive state, because not only the blue light emitted from the phone is like decreasing or like sleep hormone melatonin, which meant that I didn't feel as sleepy, but also the dopamine hit of like notifications. And I don't know, you'd put up a post and then waiting for likes to come in or messages coming in. You're always like, you cannot switch off. And then trying to sleep, although sometimes I got to sleep straight away, my quality of sleep was definitely not great. I'd wake up just exhausted. And because I was bringing my phone to bed, what was also happening is I was reaching for my phone the minute my eyelid opened. And then going back to checking in with yourself first, I wasn't, because I was already given back to the world and putting everyone in front of my needs and how I want to feel by going on my phone and checking who said that, what message did I get, or like what person put up this. So the biggest change that helped with my sleep and how I just felt in myself, just not bringing that phone into bed with me. So I'm not on my phone for like at least 30 to 60 minutes before I fall asleep. I'm not on my phone for at least an hour before I wake up. And that way I have better quality of sleep, which has helped me then to have more energy, more motivation for training, see better results from the gym, better adherence to my diet. Because if we don't get good sleep, quantity, quality, then like hunger and satiety hormones are completely out of whack. Of course, we're not going to make decisions that are aligned with like how healthy we want to feel, because we just, I don't know about you, but when I like, there's often times when I don't get enough sleep for whatever reason, not often, but there is times like, I don't know, early flight or
Yeah,
something, for
traveling,
example,
definitely. Yeah.
and it just throws your sleep out of whack. And I could honestly just eat all around me.
Oh, I'm the same.
Just so hungry.
Yeah, so hungry all day. You're
Yeah.
like, what is wrong with me?
I know, and it's usually like you be craving sugar and carbs, very like junk food, not a nice fresh salad. You just want the dopamine hit from that food, that comforting feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah, no phone, to bed, on flight mode, put it on charge, opposite side of the room. Don't touch it, only after my slow morning routine.
Yeah. This actually ties in with my last one. I feel like they're all just tying in together
Yeah.
beautifully. But learning to say no. Stop trying to people please everyone. And this could even come down to even just like feeling like you always need to reply to messages or get back to people straight away. Because I know people can get into that kind of routine. So set some boundaries. If something isn't aligning with you, you might be really super tired or super busy, you can say no and you can prioritize your tasks.
Yeah, how to, because I didn't think I was a people pleaser, but then I noticed like some tendencies that I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely people pleasing, but I find myself feeling guilty for not getting back to people. Like sometimes I know like one of my girlfriends like messaged me and the message is there for the last like 4 days and I'm like, oh my God, I know I need to reply. I know I need to reply. It's kind of like, what have you found worked well for you in terms of like not feeling guilty for?
So I used to be the same. Like I would just like reply to everybody straight away. But then sometimes I felt like I was just replying. I wasn't actually giving the person a quality response. So for me, I will kind of wait until I have the time to reply properly and give them a really quality answer. And I also think if someone asks you to do something, and like you're super stressed and busy with work or you just don't want to do it, I think like if they're a good friend, they'll totally understand if you say no. So I think just learning to say no and just say, look, like I'm super busy or super tired or I just can't do this right now, then I think it depends on the response that they give you, whether they're a good friend or they're super understanding or if they actually care about you. So I think if you need to, just say no if it doesn't align with you and they'll understand if they're a good friend.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. And those people that actually have like your genuine interest at heart are not gonna take offensive to it because
Yeah.
they want you at the end of the day to put yourself first.
Yeah,
not
and you
their
don't want to
needs.
go to something and you're tired and you're stressed and you're not
Yeah.
going to be your best self to be around anyway. So don't waste your energy on that. You want to be putting your best foot forward and being energized and yourself and be really good company as well.
Yeah, I feel like it needs to be normalized to be selfish because I feel like in a way like if you don't fill up your cup first, like how can you show up at the as the best person to other people and positivity and enthusiasm and all that and give back to them if you're just constantly pouring out of your own cup.
Yeah, that's it. And
Yeah.
like sometimes I have friends that will say no to me to like, oh, like let's go for a coffee or like let's go for dinner or we're doing this. Like if you want to come, like I actually genuinely respect friends that will just say no. Look, like I'm super tired or I'm super busy. I'm like, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Like I respect that you have like set your boundaries and you're gonna say no. Like I totally get it.
That's very true. I think it also builds like a closer connection, I suppose, with somebody that the other person puts the trust in you that is like, no, I can actually prioritize myself knowing that like you're still going to be there and it's not gonna like change the dynamic of the friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with our last one, and that is cycle tracking. So actually tracking your menstrual cycle, it's so important. And obviously this isn't going to perhaps apply to everyone, and people that are on hormonal birth control, they're not going to have the same hormonal fluctuations as people who are not and just are getting their natural cycle. But there's so much out there right now in terms of cycle syncing your workouts and diet, and it's all well and good. Like, I'm so happy there's so much awareness about it, but you cannot just take something that's like on social media or in a textbook and apply it to yourself, because just as no woman is the same, no cycle is the same, and bio individuality is so important when it comes here. And although the textbook example of a cycle is like 28 days, like that's rarely the case. So like, how can you actually optimize your diet and training if you don't know what's going on in your body? And one person might be depleted of energy the week before their period, and they will have to taper down the workouts, but another person might actually feel their energy is really high. So just because a book says like you're gonna be lower on energy in like those few days leading up to your period might not necessarily apply to you. You just need to find what's normal for you. And the only way you will do that is if you track your own cycle and your own symptoms. And when you do that for like at least 3 consecutive months, then you will start to see patterns. And when you start to see patterns, then you can anticipate how you're going to feel, and you can plan for that in advance. So instead of just being totally wiped the week before your period because you don't know what's going to hit you, you'd be like, okay, I know myself that I'm a little bit more hungry. Well, I'm going to plan to have more filling meals in that week, maybe add additional snack, or I know my energy isn't there. So instead of completely just not going to the gym and sacking off all exercise, I'm gonna like taper my intensity and go a little lower, but still stay consistent. So I think when you track your cycle and the symptoms associated with it, like it's just going to put you in control of your menstrual cycle, and then you can make adjustments to diet, to train, into your lifestyle that's going to help you feel good in yourself and not like be completely wiped for half of the month.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice, because I feel like a lot of females are not in tune with this and can probably get into like a bit of a cycle with a real fuck it mentality where it's like, I'm so hungry, I'm just going to eat whatever. So it's like diet's out the window, fuck it. Like I'm so tired, like I can't even train, instead of just going and doing like a light session or going for a walk. Again, they're doing nothing. It's like that real fuck it mentality, but it's like, that's really great advice to just plan a little bit and just taper back if you need to.
Yeah. And then it's at least very individualized to you, not what works for somebody else, because you are being more tuned in. You're in tune with your body, and that way when you're lower on energy, when you're more fatigued, when you just need a little like more self-care and just be more reflective and by yourself. And then other times when you are like, no, I can actually give back to people and be around people. So yeah. I think.
That's a great one.
All right. Okay, I think that's all of our tips, right?
Yeah, we smashed it.
Yeah, we covered so much:
We did.
training, diet, and lifestyle. And as you can hear, guys, like a lot of the things just like intertwine. And that means that the beauty is in the basics. Like what we talked about isn't like rocket science.
No.
It's not like any fancy supplements. It's not any fancy routines that you like nobody can do. And yeah, I think it can be like very applicable. And when you do focus on the basics, master the basics, you can just feel so good, like physically and mentally.